Hi, everyone. Welcome to the National Small Business Week Virtual Summit hosted by the U.S. Small Business Administration and SCORE. I'd like to thank you for joining this webinar, Small Business Resilience, Tools Small Businesses Use to Remain Resilient. My name is Alexa Elliott, and I'm with SCORE, and I'll be moderating this session. I'm excited to introduce you to our presenter, Bridget Weston, who is the CEO of SCORE, where she provides executive leadership and works directly and collaboratively with the board of directors to establish the vision and direction of SCORE. In Bridget's more than 10 years with the organization, she has developed an in depth understanding of the needs and challenges of our volunteers, clients, and has established significant relationships on the Hill. Before Bridget begins the presentation portion, I'd like to share just a couple of quick housekeeping items with you. If you would like to download the slide deck for today's presentation, you can do so on the bottom of the webcast console by clicking on the handouts icon. And if you have any questions or technical issues, please submit those using the Q&A box. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and bring Bridget on the line now to begin her presentation. Hi, Bridget, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much, Alexa. It is such a pleasure to be here during National Small Business Week. I am so grateful to the SBA. SCORE is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration, and with my other fellow resource partners, the Women's Business Centers, Small Business Development Centers, the VBOX, and other resources out there that are there to help small businesses. We thank you for what you do. We are here to help. I hope that this presentation and all of the presentations throughout this conference are helping, guiding, providing some support for you, the small business owners who are there to help grow our economy, move us forward, and are the backbone of our communities. So let's talk today about you and the resilience that you have and continue to have, and what has happened specifically with COVID, as well as how small business owners have been able to survive and thrive using some of the tools that are out there to make a difference to help your business succeed. What we will talk about today are the three main impact areas for small business owners during COVID. We'll talk about the impact on you, the owner, employees, and business. We'll talk about financial assistance and support, and we'll talk about expectations and outlook. Just to give you that punchline or headline from that section, small business owners are optimistic, and no matter what the challenges are that you all face and see and come across, we know that you are ready and willing to continue to grow and thrive. And then we'll talk about the resources available to help small businesses survive and thrive. You know, COVID has had a major impact on U.S. small businesses, especially Main Street establishments such as restaurants and retail stores. And at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, way back in February of 2020, SCORE, we began reaching out to small business owners to document the impact of the pandemic and the resilience of both the startups and established businesses. And research does show that all businesses have been affected in a major way, and Black and Hispanic business owners have struggled the most. A recent study by the Bureau of Economic Research documents a general decline of 22% in active business ownership between those first 2 months of the pandemic, February and April. And there was an even greater decline of 32% in active Hispanic business owners, and almost twice the decrease in active Black business ownership of 41%. So we're going to look at some of those things and again, figure out how we together can learn from this and how we can grow and remain resilient. So, as I said, COVID-19 has had a major impact on small businesses. And you can see here it's hampered growth and it's hampered profitability. Losses have been especially dramatic for Black and Hispanic business owners. Black and Hispanic business owners came into this COVID-19 crisis at a financial disadvantage. White business owners were almost twice as likely as Black business owners to say they were profitable and growing at the end of 2019, and 37% more likely to be profitable and growing than Hispanic business owners. There was a survey by the Federal Reserve's Bank Small Business Credit Survey. It validates these findings and showed lower financial reserves of Black and Hispanic business owners. And when asked how businesses would describe their growth and profitability at the end of 2019 versus now, we saw that most businesses experienced severe losses. I'm sure this is not a surprise to many of you. Before the pandemic, you can see 32% of all businesses were profitable and growing. Today, we see only 12.2%. And the decline is worse for minority business owners. While 20% of Black business owners were profitable and growing in 2019, the number decreased to 8.8%. And Hispanic business owners decreased further from 27.4% to only 6.7% today. And we can see here that COVID did not just impact profitability of the business, but impacted other things as well. We saw that business owners were reporting that COVID and other health conditions directly impacted family and staff, which impacted business. National data shows that Black and Hispanic people are disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as underlying health conditions like heart disease. And this research asked how health effects have directly impacted these small businesses. So you can see Black business owners are 90.7% more likely and Hispanic business owners 42% more likely to have a direct relationship with someone who is diagnosed with COVID. And we asked about how much health issues have impacted business other than COVID-19. And you can see minority business owners consistently report a greater level of impact, often at twice the rate. One of the big challenges that we see for small business owners is childcare. It's a significantly unmet need, particularly for minority business owners. Lack of childcare has a large impact on small business owners, with Hispanic business owners citing lack of childcare as having a large impact on their business, 2.5 times more than white business owners. And we see that remote work is another factor that had been found to disproportionately affect minority business owners. While 1/4 of all businesses have been negatively impacted by remote work, that number doubles for Black business owners, while nearly half report being negatively impacted, and 1/3 of Hispanic owners citing remote work as having a large impact on the business. And we hear it a lot in the news today too, but COVID-19 has negatively affected employment for many small businesses. There is some good news that the minority business owners, specifically Black and Hispanic business owners, are more optimistic about hiring. You know, when the pandemic caused businesses to abruptly shut down, stall, or slow down, many businesses had to lay off. You see 11.7%. Furlough, 25.3%, or reduce employees' hour pay, 31%. The good news was 38% of business owners were able to report no change in employment. And we'll talk about, again, some of those resources that were available and still are available to help with these challenges. We also know that funding and financing is the number one challenge to business owners, period. It's the number one question we get at SCORE. We know that our other resource partners see that as well. And it was challenging for all business owners to maintain their status financially, even with all of the opportunities and funding options available during COVID. You can see that many business owners use their personal funds, and many had to downsize operations, 46%. Some took on additional personal debt or loans from family and friends. And we heard from small business owners that there were a variety of other options that they used to stay open financially. We heard that we just worked many more hours, lacking sleep and other things that were part of their lives. Business owners went without their own salary. Someone said, I haven't taken a check for 5 months. Some business owners had to work a second job to keep their family, going and to provide. Many had to use retirement to pay off personal business loans. Some were able to work with vendors to allow for special terms, loan forgiveness, or payment terms, and others had to mortgage their properties. These were really challenging times for many small business owners. And when the federal government offered loan and assistance programs, which many people benefited from, these loans were there to address the economic burdens of COVID-19. Businesses of all sizes jumped at the opportunity, and they were welcomed and wanted and needed. SCORE mentors were there to help business owners navigate which programs were right for them, how to apply, and then if they were successful in securing that funding, how to use that funding to put it to best use to make that business sustainable. We know that about half of all business owners that were surveyed in this report applied for the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program. And according to this data, 63% of white business owners received the full amount of their loan, which unfortunately is 3 times more often than Black small business owners and 2 times more often than Hispanic applicants. And these findings are consistent with larger reports that indicate those findings. And because the PPP was offered through banks, part of the challenge is the lack of formal banking relationships that we have seen with minority business owners. And it's one of the ways that SCORE and other resource partners can help minority business owners to find and formalize those relationships with local banks or other funding institutions to help the next time a disaster may come that affects businesses. With this larger indication of inequity, we saw that Black business owners were 4 times less likely to receive the full amount of these loans. And we saw that the success rate for the EIDL loans, the economic injury disaster loans, were higher again in terms of getting that full amount for white business owners than Black or Hispanic business owners. And as I said before, business owners with that trusted banking relationship tended to gain access to better, not just the funding options, but better management tools for cash flows, better lines of credit, better customer service, and better guidance regarding loans and financing. When this survey was completed and we asked small business owners to describe their business banking relationship, 27% of the Black business owners and 22% of Hispanic business owners in this survey said that they didn't really have a strong banking relationship, double that of white business owners. So we know that this is an area that we can help to build those relationships, and banks in your communities are we can work with them and with you to help build those relationships. We also know that the minority business owners are twice as likely as white business owners to seek delays for existing loan payments and twice as likely to apply for new loans. Also twice as likely to seek expanded lines of credit. So despite pursuing these options at higher rates, they were less likely to receive help. Black and Hispanic business owners were less likely to receive help. So again, we know that funding is a key part of helping any business stay afloat and succeed. And this is an area where there are resources available that we will get to in a few slides. You can see here on this slide that those who were able to access and get those financial assistance, loans, and other programs were able to put them to needed and necessary areas for their business. Payroll, rent, and utilities were the key areas where these financial assistance programs were put to use. And when asked, what financial assistance options do small business owners want? We heard loud and clear the number one thing that was effective for small business owners during this time were the stimulus checks to individuals. 66% of our small business owners listed that as the number one thing they found valuable. When we dug into that information and asked why, the most common answer was because the lack of restrictions, that money was able to be spent on anything they needed. There wasn't any paperwork. There wasn't any, follow-up needed to have that loan forgiveness. So it was the easiest way to have some of that cash inflow go to the most needed area. That being said, 30% said the PPP, the Payroll Protection Plan, and the enhanced unemployment benefits were also really helpful for those businesses, and they would agree that would continue to provide help. Other areas such as the elimination of the 75% payroll requirement for PPP loans would have been helpful, and the bonus for employees who start new jobs or rehired. Employee retention, we know, or rehiring is a big issue today, and there are programs and tools available to help. We also know that it's not just funding that makes a difference to these small business owners. We know that there are other financial-based assistance tools that can help, and you can see some of those here. Free advertising credits. Business owners need to get the word out about the products and services that you are all providing. And there are a variety of tools and programs, whether it's through, Google, Facebook, whatever programs are out there. And we'll get into some of those in a little bit, but using those to get the word out to your clients, helping attract new clients, and bringing back your existing clients are ways that you can help build up that bottom line. We know that other help like suspending expenses with rent and utilities have been helpful. And as I said before, building relationships with community financial institutions. And then there's knowledge-based assistance, business mentoring and advising. This is where SCORE and other resource partners can come in to help you figure out what is out there that can help you. Also, an access to business networks, relying on peers, people who are in your community or in that same industry, learning from each other, connecting, sharing resources. This is a great way to build your network, learn, and help others. SCORE has programs in many of our communities called business roundtables, which allow for that peer-to-peer discussion facilitated by an expert in that community or that industry. Subsidized access to legal advice and professional assistance were other areas that business owners were seeking. And when we talk about what are available for small business owners and what ideas, what resources, whether knowledge or financial, business owners are seeking, we also see that, business owners are adapting. These programs, these resources, they are being put to use by you amazing, entrepreneurial, resilient people who are committed not just to your business, but to the community, to your employees, to the clients that you're serving. Of course, PPE, my apologies. The personal protective equipment was a big way that many business owners adapted. Teleworking and revised employee policies was another big one. SCORE, we went virtual as well. Our staff, our small staff, and our 10,000 volunteers went virtual in March of 2020. And we've actually been able to expand on the number of business owners we were helping because we were able to reach people where you were. And that's something that I think we've seen is not going to go away. And we need to be sure that we are all adapting to the needs of the people we are here to serve. We also saw that there were new services to support the community during the crisis, like health screenings and special accommodations for those employees that are at risk or caregivers, and cross-training if people were absent or sick or taking care of someone. And I had said it before, but I am continuously amazed by the optimism of small business owners. When we, looked at what these small business owners who had been through these challenges, these unprecedented times, and were struggling to keep their doors open, many still were able to see the possibilities, waiting to see what happens. Some wanted to scale up their plans, some had to scale down, but business owners were ready to, look to the future, to remain resilient, and to keep working with partners like the SBA and SCORE to make sure that they could deliver on their mission and their purpose. So how could they do this besides their sheer grit and determination, which is phenomenal? There are resources out there to help you navigate these challenges. There's financial assistance, educational resources, and mentoring. So I want to talk to you about some of those. As I said, SCORE is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration. So SCORE has volunteer businessmen and women who are business mentors that can help you navigate which of these financial assistance options are right for you. And you can see right now on the SBA's website, sba.gov/funding programs, you can see these options. So you can see that the Paycheck Protection Program, that is there. It's forgivable loans to keep your workforce employed. The EIDL loan, it's a low interest loan that provides help to businesses experiencing revenue loss. There's the Shuttered Venues Grant, which supports eligible venues who have had to close your doors in the entertainment industry. There's the Restaurant Revitalization Fund for restaurants, bars, and other food service businesses. And then there's even SBA Debt Relief, where they will make loan payments for some existing SBA borrowers. And you can see there is a tool even on the SBA website, that cross-program eligibility, to make sure you're maximizing the use of those programs and taking advantage of every possible financial assistance program out there. And there's more. So many other corporations and other organizations have stepped up as well to provide non-governmental financing possibilities. On score.org, we have compiled many of these opportunities on the Small Business Resilience Resource Portal. So if you go there, you can find a comprehensive list of grants, discount programs, other loan possibilities, and even investor tools and resources to help your business if one of those financial assistance options from the government aren't right for you. And there is training. We know you have the talent and the desire to be resilient, and you have been working tirelessly on your business. So let us help you. SCORE, the other resource partners, women's business centers and SBDCs and VBOX, there's a site, covid-sb.org, which links to a lot of the great federal resources and training out there. And of course, sba.gov. On the Small Business Resilience platform that SCORE has provided, you can get help in strategy and planning, operations, financing and capital, marketing, HR, accounting, customer relations, technology, business plans, even government contracting and tax support. Let us help you. You can identify what your area is that you have questions. There are blogs, webinars, checklists, various self-directed learning tools. We also have live webinars where you can come like this and ask questions. And then you can get paired with a mentor to help you make sense of all of those tools and resources. And really, if there's one thing that I hope you know of all of the resources out there, is that you are not alone. There are people who have been there, done that experience, who want to help you figure out which resources to use, how to get them, which ones you're eligible for, how to make the case for your business, and how to make sure your loan application is in the best shape it can be, how to make a pitch to an investor if that's where you want to go. This mentoring is free. SCORE and the other resource partners provide startups, those looking to get started, or those in business, free, confidential business advice from, again, those expert advisors. And we are committed to helping you succeed. It's totally for you. It is unbiased, and we are there to walk alongside you through these challenges and these successes. Every SCORE chapter, as I said, we offer face-to-face when safe and best for the health for any business owner in local chapters or in your communities. And we, of course, offer virtual mentoring. We use Zoom, Google Hangout, whatever makes sense for you and the mentor. And again, you can come, you can ask for help. We provide that guidance and resources. You can ask as many questions as you want and come back as many times as you'd like. There is research by the SBA that shows if you get at least 3 hours of mentoring, you are more likely to increase your revenue and stay in business. And SCORE itself has over 10,000 volunteer business mentors across the entire United States, serving clients not just in the communities where we have a brick and mortar presence, but you can access SCORE mentors anywhere in the community, anywhere in the country. And it works. When people have worked with a SCORE mentor, and it's similar for the other resource partners, we have seen businesses stay in business. During the pandemic this past year, 82% of the businesses who worked with SCORE stayed in business. We also saw 45,000 businesses get started during this pandemic. And we saw nearly 75,000 non-owner jobs get created, a total of nearly 120,000 total jobs last year during this pandemic. And that is with the help of SCORE mentors using these resources, despite the challenges that we've seen. So if there's one thing I hope that you do after this presentation, it's to ask for help. We're waiting. Reach out today. You can go to score.org. You can go to covid-sb.org or sba.gov. And again, SCORE, Women's Business Centers, SBDCs, we are a resource partner of the SBA. We are grateful to stand with the SBA and to work alongside all of the small business owners out there who are deserving of all of the help we can give. And we will be there with you today and for the life of your business. So with that, I would love to hear from you and see what questions you have. And thank you so much for your time. Alexa, what do we have?
Okay, so we do have a little bit of time to take a few questions that have been submitted by the audience today. So let's go ahead and jump right on in here. Bridget, this first question comes to us from Tara, and Tara's asking, why do you think it is challenging for businesses to bring back employees, and what are some things business owners can do about that?
It's a great question, Tara. And we are seeing this across the country because there were necessary and needed tools and programs out there to help those who were unemployed or unable to go into work. Some of the things that our small business owners that have been coming to SCORE have been successful with is looking at various benefits that are out there for their employees, whether it is an increase in salary, other benefits like health insurance, looking at flexible hours if that's possible, if you're not in, a service industry like retail or restaurants. And what has worked first and foremost is talk to your employees. See why it is challenging for them to come back. Maybe they are caregivers themselves. Maybe they are scared for their health, for other reasons. So by having those discussions and learning what is the hurdle for those employees, you can then work with your employees, your benefits provider, your SCORE mentor, or other person or advisor out there to figure out a path forward. And we can look at whether it is PPP or potentially other programs out there like discount programs that would help to entice employees back. Those are some of the ways that we can work to bring those people back. And I know that everyone is out there working to, get things open and do things safely. So I would encourage you to look at the Small Business Resilience platform on score.org to get started on those types of things.
Okay, this next question here is from Coleman. And Coleman is wanting to know, Bridget, if you could talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of using personal funds for a business.
Yes, Coleman, thank you so much. You saw on that slide that the large majority of people who were using non-governmental financing options were using personal credit or loans from families and friends. And the pro is that it's available. It's the easiest option when you need that short, cash infusion. Unfortunately, there are a lot of cons, not all of them that you can see on, your balance sheet. Of course, there are the obvious. Interest rates are really high. It can really affect your personal credit score, which then has long-term effects. It ties into even that banking relationship that's so critical. How, your credit score and your ability to keep the doors open can really impact a bank's willingness to form that relationship with you. So by working on your personal credit score and not using those types of things, it will help you to build that more sustainable relationship with those banks. The other things that we've seen, unfortunately, are it can affect relationships. When you're borrowing from friends or family, sometimes there are expectations. Sometimes there are expectations that people aren't clear on, and it can come out any which way and sideways. So we would encourage, if the personal credit or a loan is the only way to do it, to get a clear agreement with that person that you're looking for the loan to have the loan with, and have it in writing what the payment terms will be, and make sure everyone is clear on the expectations so that you can avoid any potential, problems or potential fallout, which is not anything we would want to see.
Okay, Bridget, this next question is from LaShawn. LaShawn is asking, what are some things business owners can do to be more prepared for the next disaster or unexpected challenge?
Oh, it is such a good question. What we know from the small business owners and the entrepreneurs that we work with is you all do so much. You are, you wear many hats, you're the Jack or Jill of all trades, and it feels impossible to step away from the day-to-day work that you're doing to keep your business going. And then disaster strikes. And so many people have found that they did not take the time to adequately prepare for whatever disaster came. And we've seen a lot between natural disasters and this pandemic. And the best thing you can do, and the best thing that we can learn from these challenges, is to make a plan. Plans are not, you don't lock them up and put it away forever and it's never touched. I mean, plans should be living documents that you adapt and learn from and add new things to, depending on what resources are out there and what your business needs. We do it at SCORE. Once a year, we look at our risk assessment plan, see what our biggest risks are, make changes accordingly, and we are ready in case a disaster strikes. And we would love for the small business owners to do the same, because the more quickly you can respond to a disaster and put things in place to mitigate your losses, you will be more likely to get back up and running quickly, more efficiently, and be able to bring in those dollars again. So look at the disaster preparedness resources on score.org. You can also go on the SBA and look at the disaster assistance programs there. There are plenty of tools available, but have a plan and look at it at least once a year to make sure you are ready so that you're not scrambling and left not knowing what that next step is, because disasters can be scary and we don't want you to have to do that alone or without anything there to help you.
Okay, Bridget, this next question is from Noah, and Noah is asking if you can share why did business owners rank stimulus checks the number one option they wanted?
It's a great question. And I think I touched on this a little bit, but to reiterate, it was something that we found surprising in the data as well. Basically, it was the easiest to use without any strings attached. So if someone had an employee that they wanted to retain, but didn't have that PPP loan coming in, that was something they could use. There were other funding things like businesses had also pivoted, right? I mean, breweries became hand sanitizer manufacturers, and there were funds that were needed to keep the business going in a new direction, but the existing financial assistance programs didn't necessarily fit that need or check that box. So the stimulus checks really were, small business owners said, the easiest, quickest way to plug the holes that they saw in their business. And the business owners know where those funds need to go in order to keep their doors open.
Okay, Bridget, we've got time for one last question here. This one comes to us from Parson. Parson is asking if you could share a bit more about the grant opportunities that are currently out there for businesses.
Sure. Thank you so much. And so there is an extensive list on, again, score.org and the Small Business Resilience Resource Portal. I will share a couple that are up there right now. There is the KKR Small Business Builders Grant, for example. So the Global Entrepreneurship Network partnered with KKR and Hello Alice to provide grants for small business owners. There's also the BGE Energizing Small Business Grants Program, and that is specific to Maryland small businesses. The BGE has pledged $15 million to assist Maryland business owners. So there are a lot of state, city, or regional grants that are out there as well. There's also NAV's small business grants. NAV offers quarterly small business grants up to $10,000 to help take your business to the next level. Those are some of the grants. And then there are other, like I said, discount programs. I know FedEx has one that's helping, has a program to help you with shipping needs for those that are, still struggling with COVID.
All right. So those are all the questions that we have time for in this session. I'd like to thank you all for attending this webinar, and I'd like to give a very special thanks to Bridget Weston for presenting with us today. Bridget, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Okay, and we hope that you will continue enjoying the virtual conference by talking with a mentor in the mentoring hall. Go over to the network and talk with other business owners in the networking lounge, chatting with industry experts, and picking up free business resources in the exhibit hall as well as a resiliency hall. So thanks so much again, and we will look forward to seeing you back at the next session.